My name is Emma Wiesner and I'm a part of the European Parliament delegation to the COP, which means that we are a part of the EU delegation monitoring the negotiations on behalf of the EU, scrutinizing our commissioner and the EU negotiation team, and make sure that EU lives up to the high standards that we are set for ourselves, but also deliver in the rest of negotiations. I think the Brazil presidency has been a very active presidency, you could tell, in many ways. And they are also very present in the negotiations, trying to drive the process forward. So I would say in terms of negotiations, they've been very active. But when it comes to the questions of the oil drilling projects and the cut down of rainforest and the threats against the Amazons, of course there's a discrepancy sometimes in the messaging and what's actually happening on the ground. Flying here to Brazil, it was quite devastating to see, I mean, the chessboard pattern of cut down rainforest and how it's being harvested systematically. So it's really good that they are addressing the rainforest issue as a part of the negotiations, but it's also important to deliver on what they're actually saying. And we need to see more commitment when it comes to Brazil and protection of the rainforest and the Amazon. My hopes with this COP is indeed that we are reacting to the fact that we are not near the Paris Agreement. So UN has done the follow-up. We know that we are not aligned with the Paris Agreement targets. So what do we do? And I want to see concrete measures to actually follow up on that fact. Either by more parties committing to higher ambitions like China and India so that we see change in that, or that we say we need to do something differently. It's insanity doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result. So we need to do something more. I would like to see a strong commitment on phasing out of fossil fuels, but also that we take the alarms seriously that we are not on track and we do more frequent follow-ups. Because, I mean, we can't pretend that everything is fine 4 years and then the 5th year wake up suddenly all snoozy and delayed and realize we're not on track. So have more frequency in the follow-ups. That's what I would like to see. So as a single person here at COP, it can sometimes feel very frustrating and you're questioning, what am I doing here? Am I actually contributing? But I'm a part of the EU negotiation team and the European Parliament writes a resolution what we would like to see and that EU should bring to the negotiation table. I wrote an amendment with my party saying that we want to have more frequency in the follow-up of the global stocktake, at least biannually. And that was then adopted by the EU Commission. It's now part of the EU strategy to push that in the negotiations. So now it's also EU position. And just a few days ago, we saw, and just recently, the presidency document from Brazil was presented, and that was one of the options to say that we need to increase the frequency of our follow-ups. So in that sense, when one person is committed to a message, you can amplify it and you can see how it actually gets effect. So this is the first COP I actually see something that I individually pushed for to be reflected in the negotiation text. It takes a few COPs and it's sometimes very frustrating being here, feeling that you can't impact and influence, but it is possible and it's a snowball effect. So everyone who is here today makes a difference because these COPs are so valuable. I hear that from more and more parties, from both sides of the political spectrum, saying this is much more of a circus, an event that doesn't bring any added value. But being here, where you can listen, talk to, debate, argument with the small island states, with the oil-rich countries, there's no other fora where the countries of the world come together. I am not happy with the outcome of the COPs so far. I think we're doing far too little. But without the COPs, we wouldn't even be towards 2.3 degrees. The world and the global warming would be heading to much higher numbers. So we must realize that the COP is giving effect and we are meeting and we are evaluating, and that discussion itself is really, really valuable. So I hope that this COP will bring something new to the table. I really hope I'm not going away from here disappointed that this meeting could have been an email, because that is not true. this type of forum, this type of agenda, it's nowhere else to be found. So I desperately hoping for more ambition so we can defend the fact that we are taking climate seriously. I think it's very interesting that the Brazil presidency is trying to work in different ways, not following the standard format of the COP, trying to take new perspectives. It's not always that drip of water that slowly but patiently is carving out the stone. Sometimes you have to take on new measures and maybe bring on the sledgehammer or pick another stone to get things done. And I hope and try to see that that's what the presidency is doing. For example, working across parties, working with different sectors, different NGOs, different stakeholders, that is something I get very inspired of, and I think we also in Parliament and in politics needs to take more seriously, because the issue of climate change should not be a party issue. I mean, we're arguing against physics here. It's hard facts, physics and chemistry that's heating up the globe. That has no party color. So also in politics, I think we have to learn more from that and work more jointly and find new ways and new methods on going forward, because this whole polarization, it's not going to work for climate. It doesn't work like that. So I find it very inspiring. I hope that the Brazilian presidency will be successful. Remains to be seen, because it's a lot of topics on the agenda and not so far not a very clear focus on single individual items. But I am hopeful for the rest of the negotiations that something will be brought to the table. I think it's very important now that we are talking about climate change in many different ways. For so long, it has been climate researchers talking about climate with hard facts and data and talking about physics. That works if you talk to other researchers, but we need more people. We need artists, we need journalists, we need storytellers, we need writers to talk about all of the other things that are impacted with climate change, how culture is affected, our way of life. I want chefs to talk about the different food that we will have to cook. That is really bringing emotion to the table, because it's not only about data and numbers. I mean, that's the research behind it. But that data and those numbers will mean so much more drastic changes to everyone. I want finance people, economists, talking about how difficult it will be to give someone a loan or insure a house. But I think culture and emotions are very, very important. I live close to the Baltic Sea. The Baltic Sea is heated up twice as fast as any other ocean on the planet. That means that the cultural heritage of the herring, of going out fishing with your family, of the food, is disappearing. That is emotion. So stop talking about numbers and also talking about other factors, because I think that is what will end polarization. If we all started realizing that by emotions, it would be much easier to collaborate and cooperate. So, I mean, one example from the European Parliament, how we came along across the party lines, is indeed the climate target, the 2040 target, where we had to agree and have to come up with a solution to join for an EU position. But I must say it was not easy because of the polarization and because of how the right side specifically is trying to frame that economic growth and climate change are two opposites. That is absolutely not true. And it's become much and much more polarized in the European Parliament at the moment. So I have a few elements of success stories still, but the coming 4 years will be extremely challenging for politics in the EU. And I encourage every politician in the European Parliament to really think about this. Climate change is not about party color. It's not about left and right, but we need to work together in order to combat it. And I'm seeing a landscape where we're doing the opposite. We're becoming more polarized, more difficult to talk to each other. So I would like to stretch out a hand both to the left and to the right and see how we can come up with constructional solutions moving forward.